Hey everybody, it's Kayla with Kayla Meets Photography. Just gonna give you guys another quick tutorial real quick. So I just posted in the Tribe Archipelago group about how I use the LXC 03 preset and went from this to this. So we'll do a quick edit. It's pretty fast and pretty quick, so let's get started. No more rambling. So the first thing that I did, I'll tell you guys my settings. I was shooting with my Sigma 35mm 1.4 art, and I had my aperture set at 2.2, had my ISO set at 400, and my shutter speed was 1/320th of a second. So this is straight out of the camera. Let me just make sure I have the right one. There we go. So as you can see to the left of the image, here is my history. So we're gonna try and do it just as close as I can, but if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, you can, just so you kind of know what exactly I did. It is, when you do a tutorial and redo things, you always do things different a second time. But I'm just gonna try and keep it as normal as possible. Okay, so let's go and get started. So I am again using the LXC presets. And so I'm using 03. I also have the KLN, which are beautiful. I did want to keep the green though. I think this would be perfect to use in wintertime when there isn't a lot of green, and you can really bring that forward. I am a huge fan of the KLN 04 ORG. That's probably one of my favorite ones. If I were to use any of them, it would definitely probably be the 04. But we're going to stick with the LXC because that's what I've been using this whole time. So here's kind of what 01 looks like. It's a little bit more red. I mean, guys, you can change, as you know, you can change any of these sliders, but I have been actually loving the 03 lately. It's more desaturated, and I love the green tones. I love the orange tones. They're not too crazy, but I am going to desaturate the oranges even more because I do feel like with their hands it's a little much. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around with exposure. The thing that I really love about these presets is I usually shoot underexposed anyway, and so it's really nice because I'm not a big fan of like the blown out highlights like that, and I love like the depth that these create. So we'll kind of go back and forth to see kind of the exposure that we want. So I'll say about right there. I don't want them all to be like, I just love this. It's just very like candid, and they were looking over the bridge and they were so cute, and so I'm just gonna kind of leave it like that, and I'm gonna look over at my history to make sure that I kind of have, I'm doing the right thing. So this is 0.4, and hey, it's at the same exposure, so that's perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my vignette, and you guys can do this you can do this using the vignette tool down below here, underneath the effects tool. And so you can do it that way, or I have Visco Pack 6, and so I'm just going to do I think I did the second one, from what I remember. So it looks like I did the third one, so we'll stick with as close as I did for the original edit. So I did the third one, so that kind of brought them in a little bit more. There's still a little more shadows, but I still really like it. So the next thing I'm going to do is decrease the grain. I know some of you guys are a really big fan of grain. I particularly am not. I've actually had a client ask me why the photos look so noisy, and I'm like, oh, it's grain. So I don't know. I love, some people can pull off grain really well. I'm one of those people that cannot. So even with a little bit, I like it, but I'm just going to take all the grain out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a radial filter because I kind of still want to make them more the center of attention, and I do this a lot with my images. So, and I'm going to come over here. You can go to burn. Like I said, again, the Visco Pack 6. You get all these additional brushes. If you don't have the Viscos, and I'm not sure if the Tried Archipelago comes with these as well. If not, guys, it's super simple. You just increase the exposure. So We'll do that. Kind of just more of like a little vignette type of deal. So that's looking a little more closer. It looks like I did crop down the image just a little bit to put more emphasis on them. Get rid of that under the bridge type of thing. Okay, looks like I didn't do it as much, but at the same time, that's fine. And so next thing that I did was, I probably did up the exposure just a little bit because it was a little, there we go, that's looking better. And then I think that's it. That's super simple. Okay, and then the next thing I did, and you guys don't have to do this, totally up to you guys. I do have some of the Greater Than Gatsby actions, and what I did was I ran the action, the fall foliage, and that I believe is in the Radiance collection. And so, let's see. Yeah, it should be somewhere, it should be like right under here. I actually moved it because when I use actions a lot, I move them out and I create my own folder. So what I did was I did the fall foliage and then I just played the action. And this is how I learned how to use Photoshop, was the use of actions, which I loved. And so on this black layer, I'm going to use a white brush and I'm just going to kind of paint over, I'm not going to paint on them because that will make them really, really, really orange and yellow. And kind of just like on the wood. And on my keyboard, I am using the brackets tool, so I can still paint and move the brushes up and down. And I really was not very, like, it wasn't very, what's the word? Particular about being, like, perfect on these. I did notice that, like, she was bending over right there. You can liquefy that, but honestly, I'm like, what's the point? If this is a candid photo, those are the ones that people love, and they don't want them necessarily be textbook perfect. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the brush to probably about 10%, and then I'm going to throw on Butternut Vignette, and that is also, I believe, it's in one of the Greater Than Gatsby collections, and I'm just going to decrease that. So next thing I'm going to do is, if you want to save your image back into Lightroom, you just go to Save As. Oh, one more thing. It won't save it if you have all these layers because Lightroom doesn't recognize layers. So make sure you flatten your image before you throw it into Lightroom. Okay, so we're going to do that. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. I've had coffee, but at the same time, I want this to be like a really quick tutorial. So if I can keep it under 15 minutes, YouTube doesn't, take forever and a day to, upload it. So you're going to go to where it says Format, and you're going to go to where it says Photoshop, okay? So this is going to say that under. It'll probably ask me if I want to replace it because I already did it, and I'll just say, I'm going to put cancel because I've already saved the one that I wanted. So cancel, but when you do that, it opens up right next to the one that you did. So this is the one that I did in Photoshop. And you can tell because when you look at history, it says edited in Photoshop. Okay, so we'll go ahead and reset this one again so you can kind of see the before and after. If it wants to reset. Okay, there we go. So guys, this is before and this is after. I would highly recommend, just trying these out. And oh, another thing that I forgot to do was decrease the oops. So go here. I'm going to undo selection, undo, because I forgot to decrease, oops, get it together. I forgot to decrease the orange because I just noticed that they're way too orange. So I'm just going to drop it down to 0. Like I said, you can do it as taste, but for me particularly, I prefer that the orange is dropped. And that is basically it. I forgot what else I was telling you guys, and when I rewatch this video, I'll probably remember. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will help you out if I can. All right, guys, have a great day, okay?